The fastest path to your first $1 million. You were never meant to live in lack. The first $1 million you seek isn't somewhere outside of you. It already exists within the unseen realm of your own consciousness. Everything begins and ends with the image you dare to hold of yourself. The fastest path to your first million is not through hustle, struggle, or waiting for the right opportunity. It's through bold inner acceptance. When you fully embody the identity of the wealthy, the rich, the abundant version of yourself, life begins to yield to that belief. No force outside of you has the power to limit you unless you allow it. You are not waiting on money. Money is waiting on you to stop doubting who you really are. What you feel to be true of yourself becomes the law of your world. And when you can feel the reality of your wealth without needing to see it physically, you have tapped into the source of all power. Your assumption, your feeling, your inner conviction that is the gold. Wealth is not built with your hands. It is born through your imagination. This is the unseen highway to riches. And once you step onto it with unwavering faith, the world has no choice but to mirror back the riches you've already claimed. The inner origin of riches, how your first million starts in the mind. Wealth is not born from labor, it is born from consciousness. This is the foundational truth most overlook in their pursuit of riches. You are not poor because of a lack of opportunity, intelligence, or resources. You are poor only because you have not yet claimed wealth as your state of being. Your first $1 million will not come from the world around you. It will come through a transformation within you. The outer world is simply a mirror of the inner state you consistently occupy. Everything in your external life is a projection of your inner assumptions. When you assume poverty, lack, or limitation, your world conforms to match that belief. But the moment you assume the state of being wealthy, even if only in your imagination, the world begins to reflect back the evidence of that unseen decision. Do not mistake action as the source. Action is only the bridge that your consciousness uses to unfold the reality it has already accepted as true. The true seed of wealth is planted in the field of your inner awareness. Labor is not the cause of riches. It is only a tool used by the inner man to rearrange the visible world. You were not created to chase after money. You were created to command money by the clarity and certainty of your self-concept. The idea of being rich must become natural to you. It must feel like home. If you see yourself as someone working toward riches, you are still holding wealth as something distant, something outside of yourself. And that belief alone is enough to delay its appearance. But if you go inward and dwell in the consciousness of already having $1 million, if you speak, walk, and think from that place, then wealth begins to appear, not by effort but by alignment. You must stop identifying as the struggler, the dreamer, the one who hopes to be wealthy. Hope delays, faith manifests. The difference between a beggar and a millionaire is not the money in their pocket, but the identity they claim when no one is watching. You cannot make millions with a mindset formed in fear, doubt, and dependency. But the moment you stop asking how and begin living as though it is already so, the world shifts, events conspire, people are drawn. Ideas come alive. The flow of money is magnetized to the one who inwardly no longer resists it. To unlock your first million, you must first remove the belief that hard work alone is the key. If that were true, then those who labor hardest would be the richest. But the janitor, the factory worker, the farmhand, they work harder than most and yet remain underpaid. Why? Because effort alone, unaccompanied by inner conviction, is barren. The world rewards belief, not sweat. This doesn't mean you won't act. You will. But your actions will come from a place of certainty, not struggle. They will be bold, creative, and magnetic because they will be informed by the image of wealth you already hold. You will act not to earn wealth, but to express the wealth you already know is yours. This is the paradox. When you stop needing money and start living as if you already have it, it arrives. When you cling to it, chase it, or strive desperately to achieve it, it hides. The world cannot give you what you do not first give yourself in consciousness. To claim your million, you must walk in the assumption that it is already done. Speak as one who has, feel as one who has. Think as one who has. Withdraw your attention from the world that says you don't. Stop rehearsing the narrative of I can't afford this, I'm still trying, or I'm not there yet. Those words keep you locked in the prison of lack. Instead, replace them with the vocabulary of abundance. Say, "This is easy for me. My wealth flows effortlessly. Money is always working for me." These are not empty affirmations. They are new seeds of identity. Repeat them not to convince the world, but to convince your own mind that the old version of you no longer exists. You must learn to live internally from the end, not toward the end. That means seeing your bank account flush with 7 figures, feeling the peace that comes with that security, hearing the conversations you'd have from that place of freedom. What car would you drive? What environment would you live in? What choices would you make if money were never an issue? Now here's the secret. Begin embodying that now. Make decisions from that state. Feel the luxury, the freedom, the ease now, not later. As you persist in that state, your reality must eventually reflect it. The law of consciousness demands that your outer world matches your inner dwelling. The mistake people make is reacting to what is, instead of creating from what could be. If your current life shows lack, you must refuse to entertain it emotionally. Do not deny it exists, but deny it the power to define you. Say, "That is not who I am anymore." Every time you accept limitation as your identity, you solidify its place in your experience. But every time you shift inwardly into abundance, even without evidence, you are shifting the structure of reality itself. The world bends to the bold, not the doubters. It bends to those who dare to assume what their senses deny. The first million is not earned, it is remembered. It is already yours in a dimension not yet seen, waiting for you to align with it through inner vision and belief. So stop asking for permission to be rich. Stop waiting for the market to change, the economy to recover, or someone to rescue you. The only shift required is in you. Begin now. Enter the state of wealth like you would enter a room. Close your eyes and feel the luxury. Breathe in the satisfaction. Speak to yourself as the millionaire version of you would. That is the fastest path, not because it skips work, but because it activates power, inner power, creative power. The power to transform your life from the inside out. The world you see is but a shadow cast by your inner world. Change the root, and the fruit must follow. Let your first $1 million be not the result of effort, but the reflection of a decision you made within yourself, to never again identify with lack. From that moment on, your journey has already begun. Money is already yours. Awakening to the wealth within you are not here to chase money, attract money, or beg for it to enter your life. You are here to awaken to the truth that money has always been within your grasp, waiting for your awareness to catch up. The idea that wealth must be attracted suggests that it is separate from you, distant, or somehow reluctant to come near, but this is a dangerous illusion. You do not attract money as if it lives far away. You awaken to the dimension of self where money already flows. The very belief that money is something to pursue places you in the posture of lack. The truth is, money is a reflection, a mirror, a faithful servant of your internal state. It shows up the moment you step into the version of yourself that is already in possession of it, not through sight, but through feeling. You awaken to wealth by aligning with it energetically before the world has any chance to confirm it. And the moment you do, the world bends to reflect your new identity. Money responds to awareness. It does not respond to need, desperation, or even effort. It responds to self-concept. If you see yourself as a person struggling to make ends meet, the world complies. If you see yourself as someone who is on the way, but not quite there, you will always remain on the way, chasing a future that never arrives. But the moment you fully embody the state of "I am already wealthy," everything begins to shift. It doesn't require evidence. It requires acceptance. Money begins to show up, not because you've earned it through toil, but because you've awakened to the truth that it was always available to the version of you who finally believe. The game is internal, the treasure is consciousness, and the door opens when you stop asking when and start living as though it is now. This awakening is not about fantasy, it's about identity. The money is real, but the access to it is blocked until you become the person who can hold it. Not by force, but by vibration. Your outer world is a perfect reflection of your inner frequency. If you vibrate with fear, insecurity, doubt, or the sense that you are not ready, then you're unconsciously telling the universe to keep it away. But if you rise into the awareness that you are already chosen, already qualified, already provided for, then money becomes a servant to your vision. The fastest path to wealth is not learning new tactics, it's remembering who you are. Not the version defined by your bank account, but the version defined by your spiritual inheritance. Awakening to wealth means living in the end state now. Feel into the reality where money is never a concern again, where decisions are made from freedom, not fear, where generosity flows naturally because lack no longer defines your choices. Imagine this state until it becomes your emotional home. Dwell in it, not just during meditations or affirmations, but in your daily life. When you order food, when you pay a bill, when you browse a store, do so from the vibration of abundance. Say to yourself, I am one with infinite supply. I move through life as someone who always has more than enough. That inner dialogue becomes the code that rewires your subconscious. And the subconscious mind is the engine room of your reality. It doesn't care about logic or current evidence. It responds to repetition, emotion, and conviction. And once it is reprogrammed to see wealth as natural, wealth must appear. You awaken to money by surrendering your attachment to how it comes. The ego demands details. It wants to know the how, the timeline, the source, but the awakened self lives by assumption, not by circumstance. It walks in faith, knowing that the substance of money is already being arranged behind the scenes. Opportunities begin to appear, ideas come to life, people are drawn to you, favor finds you, and doors swing open that you could not have planned. This is not magic. This is law, spiritual law. Consciousness is causation, and your awakened state is the command that life obeys. When you stop waiting for money and start speaking as money, being as wealth, embodying as abundance, you realize you were never meant to strive. You were meant to remember. Money is not something you go get. It is something you realize you already have. Not in physical form perhaps, but in potential. All wealth already exists, and the moment you match its frequency, you draw it from the invisible into the visible. This is not attraction. It is manifestation through identification. You don't need to chase $1 million. You need to become the version of yourself for whom $1 million is natural, expected, and already true. That version of you speaks differently. They carry themselves with certainty. They don't hesitate to dream big, to invest boldly, to give freely, and you can step into that identity right now, not by waiting, not by earning, but by accepting it fully in consciousness. Here's the truth. The fastest way to wealth is to stop believing you are far from it. Collapse the distance in your mind. Tell yourself daily, there is no gap between me and my wealth. Feel it now, breathe it now, visualize it with such clarity that your body responds as though it's already done. That feeling is the key that unlocks the door, and once it feels normal to feel rich, you have awakened to your wealth. You are not trying to become wealthy. You are finally acting like who you really are. The only difference between the broke you and the wealthy you is belief. When belief shifts, reality follows. So awaken. Let today be the day you stop treating money like something external and start treating it like an extension of your own being. It is not the goal. It is the result, the fruit of a new root. Begin thinking thoughts that align with abundance. Begin walking like someone who is financially free. Dress, speak, and move in alignment with that version. Don't wait for money to make you feel secure. Feel secure now, and money will come. The outer must bow to the inner. That is the law. The moment you truly awaken to this truth, everything accelerates. You're not climbing up the ladder anymore. You're realizing the ladder was inside you all along. Every step you take in belief is a step that brings wealth into form. The riches you thought you had to chase have been silently waiting for you to wake up. And when you do, the world you once knew dissolves into the world you always desired. The money, the opportunities, the lifestyle, they are simply mirrors of your new awareness. And it all begins when you stop chasing and start remembering. You don't attract money. You awaken to it. The Millionaire's secret. Unlocking wealth through the power of imagination. There is a hidden vault within you, a sacred, invisible storehouse where every desire, every fortune, every possibility already exists. That vault is your imagination, and it is the original birthplace of your first $1,000,000. Before money ever shows up in your hands, it must first be held in your mind. The masses overlook this truth and continue chasing shadows in the world, never realizing that the real work of wealth building is done in the unseen. Imagination is not fantasy, it is creation. It is spiritual law in motion. Every skyscraper, every empire, every luxury brand, every digital empire, everything the world calls successful, was once only a faint vision in someone's inner world. The difference between those who remain broke and those who become millionaires is this. One group uses imagination to relive the past or worry about the future, while the other uses it to design destiny. If you can imagine it vividly, believe it wholeheartedly, and persist in it daily, then the world will deliver the corresponding form without fail. Imagination is not wishful thinking. It is your divine right to create, to command, to shape reality through the inner screen of your mind. The moment you begin to use your imagination as the workshop of wealth, you separate yourself from the majority. Most people are imprisoned by facts. They look at their bank accounts, their job titles, their debts, and they accept it all as reality. But you were never meant to live by facts. You were meant to live by faith, and faith begins with imagination. When you imagine yourself as wealthy, free, and prosperous, and you do so with feeling and consistency, you are planting seeds in the fertile ground of consciousness. These seeds will bear fruit, not because you force them to, but because the world must obey the blueprint you persistently hold within. The law is simple. What you imagine, you become, and what you become inwardly, you will encounter outwardly. Your current life is simply the residue of past images you've held too long. So if you want your outer world to change, you must first change the movie playing inside your mind. To unlock your first million, you must begin by constructing the inner scene of what it feels like to already have it. Close your eyes and see yourself with the money in your possession. Imagine the relief, the freedom, the excitement. Picture your new home, your upgraded lifestyle, your acts of generosity, your calm demeanor as you navigate life with power and peace. Do not worry about how it will happen. That is not your job. Your job is to remain faithful to the image. Make it so real in your mind that your emotions begin to respond. Let the joy of that future rise up in you now, not when it comes, but because you've already claimed it. That inner claim is the true act of manifestation. When you feel the scene is real, your subconscious receives it as truth, and the wheels of divine orchestration begin to turn. Every day, revisit your scene. Every day, add more detail. Hear the conversations, see the bank notifications, feel the quality of the clothes you wear, the steering wheel of the car you now drive, the gratitude in your voice as you testify about your journey. Live in it internally until it becomes more familiar than the outer world. This is how the rich think. They don't react to reality. They create it, and they do so through disciplined imagination. The imagination of the poor is full of anxiety, of unpaid bills, of dreams deferred. The imagination of the millionaire is alive with expectation, with creativity, with bold vision. Train your mind to dwell only on the scene of success, and soon you will discover that your outer life has no choice but to match it. The challenge is not in imagining once or twice. It is in persisting in that vision regardless of current conditions. You may still be in debt. You may still be renting. You may still be earning far below what you desire. But none of that matters. All of it is old news. Your current circumstances are echoes of a past self-image. You are not bound by them. You are the operant power. You can now construct a new future with your inner eye. Do not ask for permission. Do not wait for a miracle. You are the miracle. When you close your eyes and boldly imagine the life you want, you are stepping into the identity of a millionaire now. And once you've claimed that identity, life will begin to organize itself around that assumption. Use every quiet moment to return to your scene. Let your imagination become more real to you than what your five senses report. This is not denial, it is deliberate creation. The world around you was made from someone else's imagination. The city you live in, the apps you use, the brands you buy from, all of it began in the unseen realm. Why then would your own fortune be any different? If you can picture it and persist in it, you will possess it. The money is already yours in the spiritual realm. Imagination is the bridge that pulls it into the physical. Do not let logic rob you of this power. Logic says you need a job, a plan, a market. Spirit says you need a vision, an unwavering belief. Doubt is the only enemy. When you begin to imagine and then say, "But how could this ever happen for me?" you cancel the seed. Instead say, "It is already done. It is unfolding now. The ways and means are being revealed." Let this become your inner dialogue. Treat your imagination like sacred ground. Never allow lack, fear, or limitation to rent space in it. If negative images rise up, replace them immediately with your chosen scene. If fear speaks, drown it out with gratitude. If the world tries to distract you, retreat inward and remind yourself, "I create my world, I hold the image, I trust the process." The millionaire's vault is not found in a bank. It is found in the deep, silent chamber of imagination where all things are possible. You already have access. You already have the keys. The only question is, will you dare to use them? Will you persist in your vision long enough for the world to catch up to your inner certainty? Or will you abandon it when circumstances whisper lies? The choice is always yours. The death of the old self. Releasing limitations to manifest wealth, there is a sacred law written into the foundation of all transformation. You cannot bring the old you into the new life you desire. To step into wealth, to manifest your first million, to become the version of yourself that holds power, peace, and financial freedom, you must first bury the self that identified with struggle, lack, and limitation. This death is not physical, but psychological. It is the letting go of every belief, identity, and assumption that kept you small. The person who believed they were unworthy, the one who saw money as hard to get, the one who was addicted to struggle, to suffering, to playing it safe. That version of you must be laid to rest. It is not that the money is far from you. It is that the old self is blocking the flow. The fastest way to your first million is to let go of who you've been. Stop defending the identity that has kept you broke. Stop repeating the same stories of lack, hardship, betrayal, or limitation. Every time you speak from that identity, you breathe life into a version of you that no longer serves your destiny. And until that version dies, the new one cannot rise. The reason so many remain stuck is because they want the promise of wealth without sacrificing the comfort of who they've always been. But the truth is, abundance requires identity renovation. Wealth cannot rest upon a foundation of fear. You cannot bring the mindset of the struggler into the experience of the millionaire. It will collapse, because the laws that govern wealth are incompatible with small thinking, with scarcity, with guilt or shame around money. The wealthy version of you sees money differently, speaks differently, expects differently, and so the price of stepping into wealth is the surrender of the old self-image. You must say goodbye to the version of you that once accepted just enough as okay. You must part ways with the habits of hesitation, the friends of fear, the language of lack, and this goodbye will feel like a death, because it is, but what feels like loss is actually liberation. The process begins in your mind. Observe the thoughts you've allowed to define you. Catch the moments you say things like, "I'm not good with money," "That's too expensive," or "I can't afford that." Every time those phrases are spoken, the old self is reinforced. You must now interrupt that pattern and choose new words, new assumptions. Begin to speak as one who already possesses wealth. Say, "I am a powerful creator. Money flows to me with ease. I make decisions from abundance." These aren't affirmations. They are declarations of identity. You are not trying to get rich. You are remembering that you already are within, and the old self will fight you. It will whisper, "Be realistic." It will say, "You've never had money before." It will use facts to defend the past. But do not negotiate with the voice of limitation. Silence it by remaining loyal to your new self. The more you honor the new identity, the faster the old one loses its grip. This death to self may come with discomfort. You may lose relationships that were built around complaining, mediocrity, or mutual lack. You may find yourself walking alone for a season because you no longer resonate with conversations rooted in fear. Do not mourn that loss, celebrate it. Every shedding is a signal that the new you is emerging, like a snake shedding its skin or a butterfly leaving the cocoon. This rebirth is necessary. You were never meant to carry old weights into new dimensions. If you try to bring the past with you, you'll sabotage the future. So instead, bless the old self, thank it for surviving, then tell it, your time is done, I no longer need you, and step fully into the image of who you are becoming. The millionaire version of you already exists in consciousness. They are bold, certain, generous, clear. They operate from vision, not survival. They don't chase money. They align with it. They trust their inner voice, invest in themselves, expect the best, and never lower their worth to match someone else's fear. That version is not created from scratch. It is revealed the moment you stop identifying with anything less. The death of the old self is the resurrection of the true self, and that true self was born wealthy, born free, born powerful. Everything you've been praying for, waiting for, working for, is waiting for you to finally identify with it. And the only way to do that is to let the old mindset die. Do not be afraid of this death. It is sacred. It is divine. In fact, all spiritual awakenings are deaths in disguise. The seed must die for the tree to grow. The caterpillar must dissolve to become the butterfly. The night must fall before the dawn can rise, and so must you pass through this inner crucifixion. You will find parts of your personality resisting. You will feel fear trying to cling to you, but hold the vision. Stay faithful to the new self-image. Even when the world shows you evidence of the past, choose to respond from the future. Even when the bank account shows zeros, respond from abundance. Even when circumstances tempt you to return to old ways, hold the line. Say to yourself, this is just residue, the old is passing, I am already new, and the world will conform. This is not about pretending. It is about becoming. True wealth is not about pretending you're rich while knowing you're not. It's about assuming the state so completely that the outer world has no choice but to agree. And you can only do that when you have died to the self that used to doubt. When the inner conversation has changed, when the feelings have shifted, when the new version of you feels like home, you'll know the old you is gone. And from that place, money will come, not as a reward for effort, but as a mirror of alignment. So if you truly desire your first million, don't start with a business plan. Start with a burial. Bury the excuses. Bury the I'm not enough. Bury the story of struggle, and once that grave is dug, rise in power. Begin to speak with new conviction, walk with new posture, dream without apology, take action from vision, not fear. Surround yourself with energy that matches your destiny, and watch how quickly life reorganizes itself. The opportunities, the people, the ideas, the resources, they will appear not because you chased them, but because you became someone who could hold them. Your first million is not waiting on effort. It is waiting on identity. Kill the old story and step into the truth. You are already everything you need to be. Let the death of the old be the birth of the millionaire. Let it begin now. Let it begin within. Ask ChatGPT has always been yours, and once you realize this, you'll understand you were never poor. You were simply unaware of the treasure within you. Now you know. Now you imagine. Now you rise. Your first million is waiting. Not in the future, but in your inner world, ready to be awakened by the one bold enough to see it before the world does. The feeling of wealth, persisting until abundance becomes your new normal wealth, is not something you chase. It is something you become. And becoming is not a moment, but a process. That process is ruled by one golden principle. You must persist in the assumption of wealth until it feels natural. You must hold the vision, the feeling, the inner identity of being a millionaire so faithfully, so repeatedly, that it no longer feels like fantasy, it feels like truth. And the moment that assumption becomes second nature, reality has no choice but to mirror it back to you. This is where most people fail, not because they lack talent, intelligence, or potential, but because they give up too soon. They try to imagine abundance, but when results don't show up quickly, they retreat back into old habits, beliefs, and emotions. But the law is clear. What you consistently feel yourself to be will harden into fact. It's not about intensity, it's about persistence. It's not about trying harder, it's about remaining faithful to the end result within, even when your five senses scream otherwise. Wealth belongs to those who can hold the image of abundance unwaveringly, no matter what. At first, wealth may feel foreign. You may imagine the luxury, the freedom, the overflow, but it feels like pretending. That's okay. That's part of the process. Don't judge yourself for it. Don't be discouraged. Simply persist. The imagination, like a muscle, gets stronger with use. The more often you return to the state of wealth, the more natural it becomes. At first, it's just a scene in your mind, a wish, an idea, but if you visit it daily, if you feel it, speak from it, breathe it, it will begin to settle into your nervous system. Eventually, it won't feel like a dream anymore. It will feel like home. That's the turning point. That's when the bridge of events begins to unfold. That's when life starts rearranging itself in your favor, because the universe is always reflecting not what you want, but what you are. And when you feel like a millionaire, even without a dollar in your hand, you are declaring to life, this is who I am now, and life responds. Persistence is the secret ingredient. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. It means showing up in consciousness again and again for the vision you've chosen. It means thinking abundance even when your current circumstances show lack. It means responding from wealth even when your outer world tempts you to react with fear. Every time you persist in the assumption, you are shifting the structure of your reality. You're telling the subconscious, this is the new identity, this is the new frequency, and the subconscious obeys. It will accept whatever you impress upon it consistently with feeling, and once the subconscious accepts the belief, the world must conform. But this persistence is not effortful striving, it's restful faith. You are not trying to force the vision into being. You are dwelling in it because it is already done in the unseen. There is no need to beg, to plead, to stress. Your only job is to keep living from the end, to keep returning to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. And yes, your senses will try to pull you back. Yes, doubts will whisper lies. Yes, you'll have moments where the old self tries to reclaim its throne. That's normal. But your power lies in your ability to choose the new story anyway. To say, I am not moved by appearances. I walk by faith, not by sight. The moment you refuse to be shaken by delay or contradiction, you rise into mastery, make wealth a habit, not just in your thoughts, but in your emotions, in your words, in your posture, in your choices. Ask yourself daily, how would I feel if I already had my million? Then live from that feeling. Don't just visit it, stay there. Move through your day as though you were already financially free. Order your coffee with confidence. Pay your bills with gratitude. Speak about your future with certainty. The subconscious cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined with emotion, so feed it new truth until it becomes natural. When it becomes natural, it becomes inevitable. You must understand, the world is not holding anything back from you. The money you seek is already created, already circulating, already flowing. The only question is, are you aligned with it? And alignment is not a mental exercise. It is a state of being. It is the internal feeling that says, I already am that which I desire. So if wealth feels unnatural, persist. If the vision feels distant, persist. If doubt creeps in, persist. Keep going until the state of being rich no longer feels like an act. It feels like your truth. That's when you know you've crossed over. That's when you've reprogrammed your identity. And once identity shifts, results follow. Let go of timelines. Let go of pressure. Let go of the addiction to outer confirmation. All of that is rooted in fear. Fear that it's not working. Fear that you'll be disappointed. But faith has no timelines. Faith is certain. Faith rests. Faith knows. And you only need faith the size of a mustard seed. If it is persistent, it's not the size of your belief. It's the continuity of your belief that moves mountains. So keep showing up for the vision. Keep speaking life. Keep feeling rich, and eventually your persistence will solidify into manifestation. Even when you're in a one-bedroom apartment, imagine the mansion. Even when you're counting coins, imagine the overflow. Even when your bank balance is low, feel the weight of wealth in your hands. The world may laugh, friends may not understand, doubts may shout louder than ever. But ignore it all. The only truth is the one you choose, and if you choose well, freely choose it, by assuming it, feeling it, and persisting in it, then wealth must appear, not by force but by law. There's a moment that comes to every persistent creator. It's quiet, it's subtle, but suddenly you realize that the state you used to try so hard to feel now feels normal. And in that moment you've already won, because what is natural becomes visible, and what is assumed with confidence becomes inevitable. Your first million isn't the goal, it's the proof that you have mastered persistence, that you've trained your inner world to match your desired life. So don't rush the process. Respect it, honor it, stay in it. Let the repetition of your vision become the rhythm of your life, and one day soon, without warning, the money will show up, the doors will open, the evidence will flood in, and you will realize that the world didn't change, you did. You persisted until it felt natural, and when it felt natural, it became real.